West Ham United can cause real problems to Liverpool when the two teams meet at the London Stadium this coming Sunday. And I don't say that lightly. I think with Liverpool being in the position they're in, it could be a game where West Ham might just fancy their chances. Look, we're unbeaten in the last three games with 2 wins and a draw. And by all accounts, it should have been 3 wins after we squandered our two goal lead away to Bournemouth last weekend. But had this been a West Ham team of just a few months ago, not only would we have squandered a 2 goal lead, we would have gone on to lose that game. So getting a draw away from home against a Bournemouth team that is yet to lose at home this season is not such a bad outcome after all. And it gives us the confidence, the platform to face Liverpool this weekend, who are struggling quite badly at the moment. Our confidence is benefited by the fact that we should be able to welcome back a number of players from injury and suspension. Lucas Paqueta, for example, has served his 1 match ban, and he will be back in the starting lineup without a shadow of a doubt. And then Crysencio Summerville and Dinos Mavropanos will hopefully be available after recovering from their respective injuries. Now, these 3 players should boost our starting lineup with a more solid defensive foundation. Dinos is one of the few, if not the only, central defender who can actually head the ball. In regards to our creativity in midfield, with Paqueta coming back, and with more pace up front, should Summerville also return. But Liverpool still have the quality that can punish West Ham. And after their disastrous run of late, they're still a formidable team, and they're going to be looking to make amends for their recent poor run of form. However, if Nuno gets his team selection and his tactics right, and the players, if they keep their heads, then we may be in for a successful Sunday afternoon of football. Now, everyone's saying, this is our chance. Now's our chance. This is the best time to be playing Liverpool and to take points off them. And I get the optimism, but I don't expect this to be a walk in the park. This is still Liverpool, and they'll punish us if we do not keep a defensive line. Despite Crysencio Summerville edging back into training, which will hopefully will have him involved, there are still question marks around some of the forward options at West Ham. Callum Wilson, I think, will undoubtedly start again, but Nicholas Füllkrug's tepid display against Bournemouth when he came on as a late sub last weekend will leave Nuno pondering whether he should be using Füllkrug as a backup to Wilson, should Wilson need to be subbed. And we know, unfortunately, Wilson cannot possibly play a whole 90 minutes. However, what I don't want is to see Wilson subbed really early in the second half, as Nuno did in the game against Bournemouth. But does Nuno have other options? Well, academy players George Earthy and Callum Marshall gave Nuno a gentle reminder of their abilities when they both featured for the under-21s in their impressive 3-0 win over Truro in the National League Cup earlier this week. As for Liverpool, Arne Slot has got a problem on his hands. 9 defeats in the last 12 games is not a good record for any team. In Slot's pre-match press conference on Thursday, he spoke about the conversations that he's had with the Liverpool board, but wasn't very clear whether they're still backing him or not. The Liverpool fans that were watching that press conference, I actually took some time out to watch it as well. The Liverpool fans who watched it were quite unanimous in their view that Slot should either resign or be sacked because he's apparently out of his depth. Quite unbelievable for a fan base to react after he brought them the Premier League title last season. It's quite interesting also to see how fans of other teams react when things are not going so well. We always think that West Ham fans are the only ones who get really upset when things aren't going our way, but it seems quite evident that no matter who you are, if things are not going well, fans are going to have their say. On West Ham, Arne Slot said, West Ham are in a good place right now. He said that Nuno is a difficult manager to play against, and West Ham is tough to beat, as opposed to how we were at the beginning of the season. So Slot can see the improvements that have been brought about by Nuno. Now, it doesn't help that Slot may have a lot of team selection headaches because there are a number of players who could miss out on the game. Well, it doesn't help him, might help us. But there are a number of players who may still miss the game because of either suspension or injury. Goalie, Alisson, may well return to the first team. Slot said that he was back in training. He also mentioned that Florian Wirtz might also be back in training before the weekend, but I think the game against West Ham might come a little bit too soon for him. Other players like right back Joe Gomez, who's been on the sub bench for the last 2 games, but an unused sub. So it's not known whether he's actually fully fit or whether he's been saved to play in this game in the league. It could be that Joe Gomez may just not be quite ready, but if he is, and if he's drafted in that side of the defence, then maybe that's an area that West Ham could possibly exploit. Hugo Ekitike is rumoured to have picked up a knock in the Champions League game against PSV during the week, but there's a suggestion that it's a minor knock and he should be in line to start the game against West Ham. But if he doesn't start, then there's no doubt that Alexander Isak is likely to step in. And the stand in the right-back position right now is an interesting one because Nuno has recently had Dominik Szoboszlai acting as a sort of makeshift right-back, but he is suspended. So there's everything. I think that Gomez will be brought in, but I just do wonder whether Gomez is fit enough. Arne Slot has said that Liverpool need to improve, and in order to improve, that maybe he's got to change things, which means he's either going to change the players available to him or changing the system that he plays. But we can see that they play almost like a rigid 4-3-3 formation. They've always got their 3 players up front in order to have that outlet. They've got their 3 in midfield and they've got their 4 at the back. So I would imagine if he's talking about changing things, it's likely that he may drop players and draft in players that are going to be chomping at the bit to demonstrate that they're capable of filling in the gaps for Liverpool in order to improve them. Now, if he does bring in different players, then that might be in order to try and surprise West Ham. So Nuno's going to have to be on his guard and ready to make adjustments quickly in order to try and stay one step ahead of Arne Slot and his plans. Now, Nuno himself is going to want to put right the error that he made last weekend against Bournemouth, which, like I mentioned a moment ago, was taking Callum Wilson off too early, which didn't leave us an outlet up front. And he's going to want to set West Ham up to be difficult to beat, no matter what Slot throws his way. Look, the last time we beat Liverpool in the league was 4 years ago, December 2021. So I just hope that we don't go all defensive against Liverpool this weekend. We cannot rely on sitting behind the ball and allowing Liverpool to dictate the play and dictate the pace of the game for the whole 90 minutes. Because despite them losing 9 games in the last 12, Liverpool can still create an awful lot of chances. And if they start putting them away, then it could be difficult for West Ham to get back into the game. We've got to be solid. And we've got to be difficult for Liverpool to break us down. Nuno won't be trying to outpossess Liverpool, but he will want to frustrate them and hit them on the break, just like teams like Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest have done in recent weeks when they beat them in the league as well. We know what Liverpool will do. They'll have plenty of possession. They'll want to control the ball. They want to press high and move it quickly to create openings. Nuno's going to want his team to get the ball. Nuno is going to want West Ham to get the ball out wide to our players like Bowen and Summerville pretty quickly in order to stretch the Liverpool defence. But if Liverpool click, they'll try to pin West Ham back and close down those avenues of attack. Look, it's all reliant on players like Crysencio, Summerville to be fit. It's 50-50. It might be veering towards him actually making the game. But if he is fit, along with Bowen and Paqueta in attack, with Wilson as an outlet, then we could really hurt Liverpool in our counter-attacking play. It's interesting that in today's training video, the West Ham training video, Thursday's training video, Summerville wasn't present. But that doesn't mean he won't be available. But if Summerville's not available, I suspect that this time Nuno could draft in Songutu Magassa into the starting lineup in order to play alongside Potts in central midfield in order to push up Paqueta to the left and Fernandes operating a little bit more in an advanced position. Nuno in his press conference later today is unlikely to suggest whether Summerville or Dinos or any other player for that matter, whether they'll be available for the game or not. But with 2 days to go before the game starts, hopefully all the players that are on the brink of a comeback will actually make it. I don't expect to see West Ham have much of the ball on Sunday, but it's what we do with it when we're in possession that will really count. I feel that if we have to have Magassa, Potts and Fernandes in midfield and then a combative front line of Paqueta, Bone and Wilson, then that will be enough to worry Liverpool and Arne Slot. So line up if we do have all our players back, this is what I think. I think Areola will be in goal, Wan-Bissaka and Malik as the fullbacks. I think that quite possibly, if Dinos is back, he will partner Todibo in central defence. And then the middle two, Fernandes and Potts, with Paqueta further forward in the middle, Summerville on the left, Bowen on the right, and Wilson up front. Now, some are suggesting that perhaps it shouldn't be Dinos back or even Kilman in the starting lineup, but Igor should keep his place. Look, I'm going to be really honest with you people. I was there at the game for Bournemouth. I saw the whole 90 minutes of how Igor played. He was committed without a shadow of a doubt. But is he a starter? I'm really not sure. And then what about a team if those players are not back from injury? Well, I think that Kilman will then keep his place alongside Todibo at the back. And then I think, like I said, maybe Magassa drafted in, pushing Fernandes a little bit further forward and putting Paqueta just slight to the left. We're not expecting him to be a winger, but Paqueta playing in that role can actually be quite creative and he can get some space in that area. Look, it's going to be our defence that continues to be a concern for me. I think, whatever we do in midfield and up front, I think we've got the players to cause some trouble for Liverpool. But it's the defence that worries me a little bit. And if that continues, then our reliance on Areola is going to have to be that he puts in another goalkeeping masterclass to keep us in the game. And I hope that doesn't go that way. I expect a tense game, but if we can get our noses in front and if we can get at Liverpool, then they might feel that it's not their day yet again. But if we can get our noses in front, the crowd will lift. Liverpool might go into a bit of a panic, and that's when we can really hurt them. You know what I'm like. I'm an eternal optimist. Half glass always full rather than half empty. So my score prediction is going to be 2-1 to West Ham. Tell me what you think. Tell me who you think should be in the lineup. Tell me what you think the score prediction will be. And we'll read those comments out and respond to them throughout the day. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you all soon.